Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. So be honest with me for a second. How many times have you tried to completely overhaul your entire life on New Year's Day, only to find yourself right back where you started by, say, mid-February? We've all been there, right? Usually after about 3 agonizing days trying to navigate a completely packed gym. Well, today we're going to look at exactly why that happens and, much more importantly, how to actually fix it. This explainer is going to reveal the incredibly fascinating science behind genuinely transforming your life. And spoiler alert, it's not through sheer punishing willpower. It is all about incredibly small, compounding changes. We're going to break down the actual literal mechanics of human behavior to show you how microhabits are basically the ultimate cheat code for your brain, your body, and your craft. All right, let's kick things off with some pretty mind-blowing math from behavior expert James Clear. 37x. Think about that. If you get just 1% better every single day for 1 year, you don't just become, slightly better. Because of the absolute magic of compounding, you actually end up 37 times better by the end of the year. It's crazy. Habits are, quite literally, the compound interest of self-improvement. It's not about these massive, sweeping Hollywood transformations. It's just about making a microscopic positive change today and then doing it again tomorrow. So here's our game plan for today's explainer. First, the power of 1%. Second, identity in the formula. Third, brain, space it out. Fourth, body, the micro workout. Fifth, craft, consistency over intensity. And finally, number 6, building your new identity. Okay, let's jump right into part 1, identity and the formula, changing who you are. Usually we set these big outcome-based goals for ourselves, right? We tell ourselves, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, or I'm finally going to write that novel. But as James Clear points out, true, lasting change, the kind of actually sticks, doesn't start with chasing results. It actually starts with building identity-based habits. So instead of totally stressing over losing 20 pounds, you focus entirely on becoming the type of person who just moves every day. Because at the end of the day, your current behaviors are really just a mirror image of your current identity. To change your behavior for good, you have to prove your new identity to yourself, and you do that through really small daily wins. Okay, so how do we actually guarantee we hit those little daily wins? Well, it all comes down to BJ Fogg's brilliant behavior model, B equals MAP. Simply put, a behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a prompt all converge at the exact same moment. And here is the real secret weapon here. Motivation is super fickle, right? It totally comes and goes depending on your mood. But if we keep the ability requirement tiny, doing just 2 push-ups or walking for exactly 1 minute, we make the behavior so insanely easy that we never ever have to rely on that fleeting motivation. You just need a quick prompt, and the barrier to actually doing the thing is practically zero. And this actually maps perfectly onto the literal wiring of your brain. See, every single habit follows a basic 3-step loop: cue, routine, reward. The cue is your prompt. The routine is that tiny behavior we just talked about. But step 3, the reward, oh man, that is where the real magic happens. BJ Fogg's research emphasizes that habits do not wire into your brain through guilt or pressure. They wire in through positive emotions. You literally have to actively cultivate a feeling of success, like a quick little internal celebration immediately after you finish your tiny routine. Because that hit of feeling successful, that is exactly what locks the habit into your neural pathways. Moving right along to part 2, brain space it out, the microhabit of learning. Look, if you've ever pulled a panicked, coffee-fueled all-nighter, you are intimately familiar with what scientists call massed practice. The rest of us just call it cramming. Now, we need to contrast cramming with distributed practice, or spaced repetition. Cognitive science proves time and time again that cramming creates this really dangerous fluency illusion. Sure, the information feels super familiar in the short term, but your brain is going to dump like 90% of it within a week. Spaced repetition, on the other hand, it's basically the ultimate microhabit for your brain. By reviewing information in these quick, short bursts over expanding intervals of time, you actually build incredibly durable, long-term neural pathways. So, just how powerful is spacing it out? Get this, 200%. Studies consistently show that when you combine spaced repetition with active retrieval, which means, actively testing your brain instead of just passively rereading your notes over and over, you can improve your long-term memory retention by up to 200% compared to cramming. It's wild. Small, spaced-out microdoses of effort absolutely crush those intense, exhausting study marathons every single time. Okay, let's get physical. Part 3, body. The micro workout. Consistency over grueling duration. For the longest time, we kind of just assumed that 1 minute of really vigorous, hard exercise was worth roughly 2 minutes of moderate exercise. But some completely eye-opening recent data from a massive UK biobank study totally shattered that assumption. Listen to this. For reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes, just 1 single minute of vigorous activity gives you the exact same health benefits as 9.4 minutes of moderate walking. For cardiovascular disease, it's equivalent to nearly 8 minutes. It turns out, minute for minute, a tiny microbout of high intensity is profoundly more potent than we ever realized. Which brings us to this absolutely brilliant concept called VIALPA, Vigorous Intermittent Lifestyle Physical Activity. Don't let the long name fool you. These are simply 1 to 2 minute bursts of really intense movement, just scattered organically throughout your day. And no, you absolutely do not need a fancy gym membership for this. We're talking about sprinting to catch the bus, hauling heavy groceries up a flight of stairs, or literally just playing a quick, intense game of tag with your dog. These everyday micro bouts of intensity trigger some unbelievable biological adaptations, like improving your endothelial function and drastically increasing glucose uptake in your muscles. And the real-world impact here, it is massive. When you go from 0 to just 3 or 4 of these VILPA bouts a day, which remember is only like 4 to 6 total minutes of effort, you see an astonishing 48 to 49% reduction in cardiovascular mortality risk. Let that sink in. Just a few daily microbursts of effort can genuinely save your life. But, and this is a huge but, there is a major caveat here. Consistency depends on discipline, not on mode. Tsahi Shemesh, who is a Krav Maga expert, really hits the nail on the head here. He emphasizes that constantly chasing pure, grueling intensity day in and day out is just a fast track to burnout and injury. He uses that classic analogy of the tortoise and the hare. The hare goes all out, completely exhausts himself, and crashes hard, whereas the tortoise uses steady, disciplined micro-consistency to actually win the race. Strategic bursts of intensity are amazing, for sure. But your underlying foundation must always be small, sustainable habits. All right, on to part 4, craft, consistency over intensity, the daily practice. I just absolutely love this quote from Stephen King. Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work. King is incredibly famous for his relentless, almost robotic daily habit. He sits down every single morning at 8 a.m. sharp and he works until noon. He doesn't sit around waiting for some magical spark of inspiration to strike him from the heavens. Nope. He relies entirely on a highly structured, totally unglamorous daily routine. That simple micro-habit, just showing up at the exact same time in the exact same spot every day, signals directly to his brain that it is time to perform. And he actually applies this exact same micro-mindset right into his editing process too. He famously said, "The road to hell is paved with adverbs." He's all about these ruthless, tiny micro-edits. Slashing a passive verb here, dropping an unnecessary adverb there. Now sure, these might seem like completely microscopic changes on a single page, but over the course of a 400-page manuscript, those tiny edits compound into a powerfully engaging, fast-paced story. Less is always more when you apply the discipline of subtraction. Okay, bringing it all home with part 5, building your new identity, the action plan. So, here is your ultimate toolkit, summarizing all the core mechanics we've been talking about today. Step 1, pick a ridiculously tiny action. Actually, scratch that. Make it so easy you literally cannot fail. Step 2, anchor it to a prompt or a cue that already exists in your daily routine. Step 3, apply the 2-minute rule. Whatever your new habit is, it should take less than 2 minutes to finish. Step 4, celebrate. Seriously, you have to actively wire in that positive feeling of success to lock the habit into your brain. And step 5, always choose the tortoise over the hare. Keep your focus strictly on consistency over grueling intensity. So, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. You really do not need to change everything about your life overnight. You don't. You just need to decide who you actually want to become, and then take one tiny, microscopic step to prove it to yourself. So ask yourself, what is the 1% change you are going to make today? Not tomorrow, not next Monday when you're ready. What microscopic action can you take the very second this explainer ends? Take that step, celebrate the win, and let the compounding begin.